So do I just start speaking or... Oh yeah, okay, I see the text on the screen now. Delete last sentence. Crap. Okay, I'm just gonna dictate now and I'll edit it later. Aloha Foundation staff, new and old alike. To anyone in the anomalous community who's reading a bootleg copy of this, fuck you. And also, fuck whoever's responsible for the leak in the first place. Unless it's me. Or especially if it's me. Whatever. So the O5s have been on my case for a while now about writing my own field manual in order to pass on my expertise to the younger generation. Increasingly so since I find myself less and less of the younger generation as time goes on. I mean, I'm older than Adam. And by that I mean older than Adam Savage. The guy from Mythbusters, anyone remember that show? Damn, I'm old. Since there's been a recent uptick amongst the staff and stories about me, I've decided now as good a time as any to release my field manual. How to Survive When Reality Doesn't by Alto Clef. Within these pages you learn how to deal with reality benders, what to do if the laws of physics go sideways without warning. I like to go on tangents though, so you might have to sift through some BS to get to the good stuff. So, I wanted to give him mushrooms to see if he affects them the same way he does plants, and they look at me like I'm an idiot. Mushrooms aren't plants, Alto, they're fungi. I know that, but he's a biblical SCP, and back in ye old Bible times, they weren't using the modern system of taxonomical nomenclature. They didn't have a system. All names were colloquial, which is why when the Bible calls Jonah's whale a great fish, it isn't wrong. A fish is anything that lived in the water. The Catholic Church even officially declared that beavers were fish in the 17th century so you could eat them during Lent. So if by biblical logic, a beaver's a fish, then surely mushrooms are plants. At the time Cain was cursed, no one knew what fungi were. Even Aristotle divided the living world into just plants and animals. So it makes sense that Cain's curse would extend to fungi, which ancient people wouldn't have distinguished from plants anyway. Of course, through the Foundation's damn bureaucracy, I still don't know. It would be so simple. Just pick up some mushrooms from the nearest supermarket and give them to Cain and see what happens. Denied. By the Ethics Committee. Again, for reckless endangerment of mushrooms or some BS like that. Actually, I don't know why it was denied. Probably out of spite. I got close to Cain once with a can of Campbell's mushroom soup, but security tackled me before I could open the can. Actually, no, it was Heinz soup. What the F was I doing with Heinz soup? Yes, he really rode 6A2. Yes, he really got a water bottle stuck on his dick. The question remains, can he ride 6A2 with a water bottle on his dick? So at my level, you'd think I'd know how the Foundation's funded, but I don't. The most frequent response to my request is, there's not enough in the budget for that. To which I frequently respond, well, what the heck is the budget? How do we require resources? How do we allocate said resources? That's not an unreasonable question. Is a little transparency too much to ask of a covert international organization? Like, I'm pretty sure we built a fake moon once, but Lombardi couldn't get coffee and donuts for his orientation? How does that make sense? So, the pataphysics department is imaginary, but it still exists. Because that's what pataphysical means, I think? God, I'm not stoned enough for this shit. One of the most common questions I'm asked by the lower-ranking personnel is how many SCPs are actually in containment. I tell them it's above their pay grade, but what I don't tell them, it's above my pay grade too. What I do know is you can't go by the database. Entries appear and disappear from that thing multiple times a day sometimes. Some of the files are deliberate misinformation, and not just the 001 entries either. SCP designations get reassigned. There are outdated files still floating around for some reason. Plus, due to CK reality shifts, some of the files are from alternate realities that don't exist for us anymore. It's very confusing. I swear, I've been to facilities with multiple empty cells that allegedly held SCP objects. Maybe they were all out for testing or something, who knows? Sometimes I fear we become so entangled in our own web of lies that none of us knows the truth anymore. Sorry, got a little spacey there. I think I might be a little bit too stoned. And if you still want an estimate of the SCP count, I'd say at least a few hundred based on my own personal experiences in the Foundation, and at most tens of thousands based on the maximum capacity of all the Foundation sites and areas that supposedly exist. Or maybe anomalies are normal and everything we think of normal are anomalies. Yeah, let's go with that. So we open up the hatch and there's a kilometer-deep silo filled with 173 knockoffs. All of them producing a never-ending stream of blood and shit. I said it must be some sort of weird Japanese porn thing, and they called me racist, but that is a legitimate possibility, isn't it? Damn it, Apollyon was supposed to be exclusively for SCP-2317. Stop listening if you don't have a high enough clearance. It was a colossal eldritch demon bent on destroying the world that was only kept in check by an ancient forgotten magic that's slowly failing. Its escape and the subsequent extinction of the human race was inevitable, and there's nothing we could do. That's what Apollyon means. But then Talleyrand's like, oh, this reality bender that's torturing me in a living hell for all eternity, and it'll do the same to everyone else if it gets free, is pretty extra, so I'll classify it as Apollyon too. And now the entire database is classified as Apollyon. I exaggerate for fact, but it still sucks. Now granted, 2317 turned out to be not quite as invincible as we'd feared. The O5s ended up taking it out with a couple of howitzer rounds to the cranium, and even if that hadn't have worked, how would it have fit through the damn door? I'm not saying it makes it okay to use Apollyon for just anything. Well, I don't know what I'm saying. I guess keep calm and Apollyon. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Mimetic kill agents are nothing but a scare tactic. Nothing happens. Go on, look at one. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Can't say no to a double dog dare. Let's see. Which 001 proposals are true? We know mine's not, because I'm a liar. Everything I say is a lie, including this. Locks can't be real, because obviously that didn't happen, unless it's one of those CK reality shifts again. The factory's real, so Bright's proposal is at least somewhat true. Gear's prototype, I've actually seen that, so that one's true at least. It also explains why Keter's pronounced the way it is. Did you read that, Dr. Miller? It has nothing to do with the Kabbalah, it was some German doctor's name. Let's see, the Broken God one's true, because that means the Gulf of California didn't exist before 1942, but if that's true, California never would have been mistaken for an island unless we made that up as well. You see what I mean about getting lost in a web of our own lies? You know, back when the O5 started cracking down on the gratuitous cross-testing and general shenanigans, they were even going to forbid staff from using the pizza box. But pretty much all Site 19 threatened to go on strike, so they had to back off. For some people, that pizza box is the only reason they're still with the Foundation. As one might imagine, I've butted heads with the ethics committee a few times over my practice of secretly drugging trainees with designer hallucinogens to simulate reality bender attacks. The memetics and info hazard guys do something similar, but apparently that's okay because they tell people beforehand and get consent, or some hippie bullshit. My training program only works because people think it's real. That's the whole point. Have some people been harmed or killed themselves or others during my training sessions? Yes. Have people committed suicide or otherwise suffered long-term psychological damage due to the guilt or psychological trauma inflicted during their bad trip? Well, yes. Wouldn't it make more sense to gradually acclimatize the trainees to stress of reality-bending attacks instead of subjecting them to full-blown simulated attack all at once and losing valuable personnel to death and madness? Yes. I mean, god damn it. I hate the metric system. I rate everything in Imperial and just let the containment specialist convert it. It's cost the Foundation time, money, and maybe even lives, but I don't care. Fucking hate metric. Everyone likes to make fun of junior researchers for suggesting we use titanium, but I have a titanium ceramic frying pan and I love it. Sure, a lot of the time titanium would be overkill, but considering what we're trying to keep contained, I'd say overkill is the way to go. Draven, kiddo, you hearing this? Are you into Lauren doing the double groom cake toppers for your wedding? I personally think that's a little passé since it's not gay marriage but a marriage equality now. We should move away from the gendered cake toppers and switch to something more universal, like two swans with their necks in a heart shape, so long as you can't tell the gender of the swans, or maybe something more abstract, like a pair of neutron stars circling each other faster and faster, doomed to destroy each other but powerless to escape each other's pull. I am being facetious, I don't give a rat's ass, just save me some cake. SCP speed dating isn't as dumb as it sounds. I know everyone's super concerned about the psychological well-being of the monsters we keep locked up in bunkers, and most of those monsters don't want to spend the rest of their lives without getting laid, right? Give the dudes condoms, some hormonal implants for the ladies, and we're good to go. Okay, I've got a question for you now. Why wasn't I, the Foundation's go-to guy for dealing with reality benders, not part of Project Orpheus? A Cronenberg-esque nightmare of mind rape and body horror to turn reality benders into plug-and-play eigen weapons. Well, because I'm not stupid. What happened to Dr. Castello and her team was inevitable. You can't control reality benders with reality anchors. Anchors are for emergency, short-term containment only, because sooner or later, the benders either figure out how to bypass them or they break them because they're shit. We don't contain benders, we terminate them when they're vulnerable. An anchor might give you that window of vulnerability. But you're a fool if you think it'll keep you safe forever. Shoot the bastard when you have the chance. God knows the Foundation regrets not taking the shot with me. It was the best of times, and it was the worst of times. Ugh, you know what? If I'm quoting classic literature, I'm out of steam. I'm done. So, congratulations. You are now certified for low human encounters of type green combat scenarios. Well done, Agent. I'm not sure how long I was talking for, and my attention tends to wander a bit at times, but I'm sure I said something useful in there. Just use your newfound abilities responsibly, like I do. Aloha.